You're stealing, right to jail. You're playing music too loud, right to jail, right away. You're driving too fast, jail. Slow, jail. You're charging too high prices for sweaters, glasses. You right to jail. You undercook fish, believe it or not, jail. You overcook chicken, also jail. Undercook, overcook. You make an appointment with the dentist and you don't show up, believe it or not, jail, right away. We have the best patients in the world.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the kitchen tonight. This is breaking news. Just put the kiddos down, and if you see some extra avocado or schmutz on my hoodie here, it's because, well, my 2-year-old or 6-month-old slimed it there. And speaking of human slime, Sam Bankman-Fried has been Bankman arrested. His ass is going to prison. Sam Bankman-Fried going to jail, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. Here is the breaking news. Sam Bankman-Fried arrested in Bahamas after American prosecutors file charges against FTX founder, crypto billionaire 30 was arrested in the Bahamas tonight, just 1 hour ago. American prosecutors have filed the charges against FTX founder, and the indictment will be unsealed on Tuesday morning. It's likely that the U.S. will request the extradition of his arrest. Sam Bankman-Fried, of course, is a massive mega donor to the Democrat Party. Sam Bankman-Fried is indeed one of the worst violators of American financial trust and one of the largest frauds in our lifetime. He embezzled more money and stole more cash than Enron and Bernie Madoff combined. He donated all of that cash to Democrats' re-election funds, hence the results partly of the 2022 midterm elections, and of course, they want to sweep this one under the rug, Ghislaine Maxwell style. That's what's happening with Sam Bankman-Fried. They're going to want to make sure this goes away very, very quickly. This is the top line from the Daily Mail. The crypto king said he feared appearing in person in the Washington, D.C. Congressional testimony, and it's not over. His fear is that he may be arrested on U.S. soil. Well, that fear has come true tonight as the man who lost multi-billions in an enormous crypto fraud, which was essentially this. People invested money into FTX, which was an exchange. So it's kind of like a bank. You can keep your money there. You can buy crypto. You can sell crypto. That money was being taken from people's accounts and was being used to fund other projects. This is a classic Ponzi scheme. You just take the money that you get, you push it towards other risky projects. He kept doing that, and the big one, which was Alameda Research, which was the hedge fund run by his weird little meth goblin of a girlfriend, that went belly up. People asked for their money. Oh, I'm so sorry. There's no money left. So Sam Bankman-Fried has defrauded, hopefully for the last time. Here's the breaking news.
Sam Mini Madoff-Fried is not free. He's finally in cuffs after officials in the Bahamas went over and arrested the scam artist who stole billions of dollars and spent a lot of it on sex parties, drugs, and on electing Democrats in the Senate. The Attorney General of the Bahamas say the arrest came after the receipt of a formal notification for the United States that we'd filed criminal charges against them. Finally, officials in the Bahamas say they expect Mini to be extradited back to the United States soon. And this is coming just after Mini Madoff earlier today said he was too overbooked to fly back to the United States and testify in person at tomorrow's congressional hearing. To our friend Maxine Waters, no relation. Mini said he was worried about the paparazzi, but now he's behind bars in the Bahamas, if that counts.
Yeah, okay, so Sam Bankman-Fried is running away. Maybe he should have a reasonable care and concern about the paparazzi. Here's footage of Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried. He is such an altruistic, kind, generous person. He's earning to give. He's giving away his money. Yet he himself spends multi-millions in the Bahamas buying off politicians, spends multi-millions buying U.S. elections, and then lives inside of a multi-story penthouse in the Bahamas. We checked out where he lives. We were planning on going down there actually this week and seeing Sam Bankman-Fried. Unfortunately, we're going to have to put those plans on hold because Sam Bankman-Fried is now arrested. This is what the U.S. attorney of the Southern District of New York had to say. Earlier this evening, Bahamian authorities arrested Sam Bankman-Fried at the request of the U.S. government based on the sealed indictment filed by SDNY. We expect to move to unseal that indictment. It turns out the New York Times has all of the charges that Sam Bankman-Fried is being charged with, and here they are, ladies and gentlemen. This according to the New York Times. Sam Bankman-Fried being charged with wire fraud conspiracy, securities fraud conspiracy, and money laundering. So, yeah, good luck getting out of this one. What does Sam Bankman-Fried have to say about all of this? Well, he says, I'm sorry.
One of the letters I got, I want to read to you, Sam, because it's from a gentleman who said that he lost his life savings. And the subject line is Sam Bankman-Fried stole $2 million from me. It says, Andrew, can you please ask SBF why he decided to steal my life savings and the $10 billion more from customers to give to his hedge fund, Alameda? Can you ask him why his hedge fund was leveraging long all of these S coins? I'm going to keep it polite for the kids. Please ask him if he thinks what happened was fraud. These are the kinds of letters that I've been getting repeatedly over the past several days. What do you tell this man?
Yeah. I mean, I'm deeply sorry about what happened.
Yeah, I'm really, really sorry. That was Sam Bankman-Fried speaking at a New York Times consortium there. Tucker Carlson had a lot to say about the New York Times welcoming this criminal into their little clapping seals ovation gaggle in New York, these people living inside their bubble, so utterly repulsive. They, of course, themselves love criminality. They love the destruction of personal wealth, especially if it hurts regular Americans. Tucker Carlson hurting them back.
But the main takeaway from the whole thing is that Sam Bankman-Fried isn't stupid. He knows he's bulletproof. He knows the Democratic Party and the SEC and his friend Gary Gensler won't touch him. So watch Sam Bankman-Fried explain that actually he's not very worried about criminal charges.
How concerned are you about criminal liability at this point?
So I don't think that, I mean, obviously I don't personally think that I have, but I think the real answer is that's not, it sounds weird to say, but I think the real answer is that's not what I'm focusing on. I mean, look, I've had a bad month. This has not been a fun month for me, but that's not what matters here.
I've had a bad month. It's all about me and my personal journey, but being held accountable by regulators, the Justice Department, the U.S. Congress, these are my friends. I paid for them. Boy, if there's ever been a clear window into the deep corruption we really need to get rid of if we're going to return to representative democracy, it's that right there. So Sam Bankman-Fried seems so confident that he's untouchable that he admitted in public to commingling funds between FTX, his crypto exchange, and a separate company he controlled. That's the kind of thing that regulators would normally care about, but in this case, for some reason, didn't.
Oh, I wonder exactly why don't regulators care about this? Well, I actually have the visual proof of why they don't care about it. Somebody who accepted an enormous amount of money from Sam Bankman-Fried is Maxine Waters, who's in charge of overseeing things like this. She's in charge of making sure that people like Sam Bankman-Fried don't commit fraud and take the money, millions of dollars, from regular, hardworking Americans. It's her job in charge of the Commerce, the House Commerce Committee, and the Committee on Banking. So when you see Maxine Waters blow Sam Bankman-Fried a kiss, you should really be concerned about that. Yeah, okay, Maxine Waters blowing. One more time. There we go. Blowing a kiss. Does this look like someone, by the way, who you should entrust all of your money to? I mean, we feel really, really bad for the people who are defrauded in this. We know a number of people that lost a boatload of money. Some very famous people lost a boatload of money. One of the guys, it's like a Shark Tank guy, he lost a ton of money. Does this look like the kind of person who you should really be entrusting all of your money to? Cringe, Sam Bankman-Fried. Yeah, okay, got it, dude. Really great job. Really upsetting that this charade went on this long, that it took this long to get the guy in cuffs. Once again, Sam Bankman-Fried has been arrested in the Bahamas. The Bahamas have been told by United States Department of Justice that Sam Bankman-Fried is indeed going to be charged with wire fraud, securities fraud, and a ton of other charges. And that he is going to need to be, here we go, securities fraud, wire fraud, fraud, conspiracy, securities fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, and that he is going to need to be extradited to the United States of America. This is exactly what the Bahamian authorities are preparing to do. Here is, again, the Daily Mail here. His $32 billion empire came crashing down last month. He is now facing criminal charges in the United States. Sam Bankman-Fried, mega donor, Democrat mega donor. American prosecutors have filed unspecified charges against Sam, the FTX founder, and are likely to request his extradition. They thought that being a Democrat super donor would save him, perhaps or perhaps not. Maybe they're just doing a cleanup job. My take on this is that they're doing a cleanup job. My take on this is that they are taking Sam Bankman-Fried off the table. They know that he is a liability to them. They know that under the Republican Congress, if they get their hands on him, or God forbid, a Republican president and a Republican DOJ, that they would be dragging in Maxine Waters. They'd be dragging in Katie Hobbs in Arizona. They'd be dragging in the dark money groups that he was giving money to. They'd be pulling the Democrat apparatchiks and they'd be pulling the spine out of the back of the Democrat Party, the electoral spine that he donated to in order to get them to win in 2022. Sam Bankman-Fried outspent only by one person on earth. That was George Soros. Sam Bankman-Fried was essentially stealing your money in order to donate it to Democrats to win in 2022. The Bahamian Prime Minister, Philip Davis, said Bahamas and the United States have a shared interest in holding accountable the individual associated with FTX. This guy took a ton of money, by the way, from Sam Bankman-Fried. While the United States is pursuing criminal charges against SBF individually, the Bahamas will continue its own regulatory and criminal investigation, so on and so forth. Again, why would you trust this guy with your, you're going to trust this guy with millions and millions of dollars? Okay, bad. Just before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Southern District of New York saying, and we've read that tweet already, we expect to move to unseal the indictment. That'll happen tomorrow. The news of the FTX arrest comes just hours before we were set to testify in front of the House Financial Services Committee over the $32 billion collapse of FTX. Before Bahamian officials announced the arrest of the disgraced CEO, the Daily Mail reported that he would not appear in front of Congress in person, rather appear virtually. So too bad. Due to his overbooked schedule. Oh, that's interesting. Thank you, New York Times. Due to the overbooked schedule. I find it really rich that the New York Times is sitting here breaking the news on this man's crimes. And it's the New York Times that had this guy speak at one of their little confabs for the clapping seals there, the masked clapping freaks. These people are so repulsive. These people are so demented. These people are grotesque. And they clapped for Sam Bankman-Fried. They clapped for him. They clapped. Okay? Wow. All right. Yeah. So anyway, it's like there's a lot of breaking news coming out right now about this. Zero Hedge is saying that the entire point here was to act as though Sam Bankman-Fried didn't know what he was doing and do this whole hi guys, I'm so sorry, I didn't know anything about it. I just every time he talks, you can just hear the soy dripping out of it. You can just hear the soy like evaporating the last drops of testosterone. Guys, I've had a bad month.
But I think the real answer is that's not what I'm focusing on. It's there's going to be a time and a place for me sort of think about myself and my own future, but I don't think this is it. Like, right now, I mean, look, I've had a bad month. This has not been a fun month for me, but that's not what matters here. Like, what matters here is the millions of customers. What matters here is all the stakeholders in FTX who got hurt, and trying to do everything I can to help them out. And, you know, as long as that's the case, like, I don't think that, you know, what happens with me is the important.
Okay, and they're trying to help them out. I'm just trying to help them out. Okay, here, check this out, guys. Here we go. This is from the New York Times right here. He was speaking at a New York Times confab there. Here's the New York Times headline on Sam Bankman-Fried. The guy who was just there clapping. You see how the number of masks there too? But the clapping seals there in the audience of the New York Times, these people, they are such disgraceful human beings. That the fact that they normalized this guy and that they gave him a signal boost when he was ripping off millions of Americans, millions of people around the world. Sam Bankman-Fried charged with securities fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy, securities fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. The New York Times right there. And of course, here is the article. There you go. Arrested in the Bahamas. Well, life comes at you fast. Life comes at you fast. Sam Bankman-Fried. Look at this guy standing there inside of his penthouse. He lives in like a multi-story. We looked it up. He lives inside of this place called the Albany. It's this multi-story penthouse unit inside of the Bahamas. I wonder, why don't you live in a tent? I thought you were supposed to be Mr. I'm going to give away all my wealth. Why are you spending $40 million on parties and buying off politicians in the Bahamas? Sam Bankman-Fried went through on a terror to use all of his money for leverage to pay off politicians so that they would not do just this, arrest him. And that is exactly what he said wasn't going to happen. He said, there's no way I'm going to get arrested, guys. No way I'm going to get arrested. When the soy has evaporated, all the testosterone, that's what you sound like. You sound like this. He said, I'm not going to get arrested.
It's very difficult for me to move right now and travel because just like the paparazzi effect is quite large. I'm not sure.
Are you worried you might be detained if you stepped foot into the U.S.?
I don't believe I would be, but I haven't done a deep dive into that. At some point, that's something I have to think harder about.
Okay. Oh, wow. We feel really, really bad for you. Dave Portnoy over at Barstool Sports, big crypto bro, had this to say in a rant about Sam Bankman-Fried. Very, very upset. Dave Portnoy popping off on, again, the biggest fraudster. What he did was worse than Enron and worse than Bernie Madoff.
Okay, I could do another rant about our friend SPF. You remember him, the CEO of FTX? Hi, y'all, it's SPF. It just came out the last couple hours that Maxine Waters, who has been seen taking pictures with him, blowing kisses to him, is not going to subpoena this guy to testify in front of Congress. What are we talking about? SPF, for the last week, 2 weeks, has been on media tour. He's going around trying to act like Mr. Honest. He wants to figure it out and get people their money back. Every hard question that SPF gets asked, like, hey, SPF, where did the $8 billion go? Hey, SPF, did you know that you were commingling funds, that money were depositing to FTX? You were basically gambling on stocks with Alameda, same parent company. His answer, by the way, to every one of those questions is this. I don't know. That's news to me. I don't know where the $8 billion went. Let me look it up. I got to find out. Let me talk to some people. I don't know.
Well, you said you had $4 billion that came in, right?
Yep.
Does that still exist? Was that ever real?
My guess is that some of them might. This
guy, the CEO of FTX, is making it seem like he didn't know shit in his company. He was just sitting in the Bahamas, up with his girlfriend in his Paul Meredith relationship, just everyone. But they didn't do anything business-wise, even though everyone in their company's like, they ran it all.
Yeah. So these people are going down, but I am very, very, very cynical here from the New York Times. Disgraced founder of the collapsed cryptocurrency. Didn't stop you from Hostium, New York Times, just a few days ago. Didn't stop you guys from like trained SEALs applauding for the guy. Arrested in the Bahamas. Criminal charges. SBF's arrest follows receipt of formal notification from the United States. Filed charges. Prosecutors for the Southern District of New York confirmed Bankman-Fried has been charged and said the incident would be unsealed on Tuesday. The charges include wire fraud conspiracy, securities fraud, security fraud. Once again, he lost $32 billion. $32 billion. I mean, that's approximately what Elon Musk paid for Twitter. Elon Musk paid $40 billion for Twitter. So there you go. I am cynical on this, and here's why. The reason why I'm cynical on this, ladies and gentlemen, is because these scumbags know what they're doing. This is the same thing as Ghislaine Maxwell, all right? This is a body that you gotta get cleaned up, meaning you gotta get this person off the table. Sam Bankman-Fried is very, very scary to the people in charge, because what they were doing was they were using Sam Bankman-Fried, they were using his cryptocurrency operation in order to essentially control as a control mechanism, get it big enough, make it the Google of cryptocurrency, and then the American intelligence agencies and the American regulatory agencies were going to use that then to come down from on high and then to pressure total cryptocurrency regulation vis-a-vis the American government, leading to a digital dollar, leading to digital currency across the board here in America. Eventually phasing out hard currency and making everything a social credit score based on the digital value of your bank account. Government can just delete your account, can delete all the funds in it, just like they do in communist China. Try and say something, try and tweet something bad against the government, and then try and use your phone to get into your apartment in China. Doesn't work. Suddenly it'll blink yellow, and you can't get any more. No more money in your bank account. No access to services. That's what they want. They want a flip of a switch. They can destroy your life, and they were going to use Sam Bankman-Fried as a key to unlock the unregulated crypto market. And so because it failed and because he knows too much, they are going to bury this guy, just like Ghislaine Maxwell. Jeffrey Epstein, of course, was killed in prison by Hillary Clinton. Ghislaine Maxwell was the, his booker, right? The madame. And she is the person who knows all the secrets. And so in order to get her to not talk, the feds cut a deal with her on behalf of the powerful, and they put her inside of some type of posh, I think she's in Florida, actually. She's got a life sentence or like 25 years, which will be cut down to nothing, and she's in some type of like posh knitting club, Real Housewives of prison kind of like locked up situation. So you don't, like, this is what they're going to do. This is a cleanup, this is a mop-up job. They don't want Sam Bankman-Fried to get the fangs of a real Republican administration, a real Department of Justice, a real House Oversight Committee, looking into him, who he was funding, who was funding him, who was actually pulling the strings, because it wasn't that jackass. Ladies and gentlemen, this, of course, is a much bigger story, as it always is, and this is just a mop-up job. I'm cynical. I know exactly what's happening here. It's exactly what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. Really interesting that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted, of course, his heinous crimes against children and some of the worst predatory crimes you could possibly be charged with. Well, he was never convicted. Jeffrey Epstein, once again, was suicided in prison. But it's very interesting to me that nobody else was charged. Isn't that fascinating? I mean, listen, if you're going to take down a drug kingpin, I think that's important. But what about all the other people who are buying the drugs, who are using the drugs, who are selling the drugs? Wouldn't you care about them? Why is it that you take down Jeffrey Epstein, but suddenly you hear nothing else about anyone else who was involved? Nothing else about this entire ring of people who are utilizing his demonic, satanic services. Why don't you hear anything about it? It's all a little odd. Strange that, isn't it? Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein, ladies and gentlemen, that's what they're going to do to this guy. They're going to make sure that he gets rat-holed into a prison cell and nobody ever hears from him again. He doesn't have any more free speech. He's not able to talk, and nobody cares about him because he just knows too much. That's what's happening here. But at least he is going to jail, I suppose, and maybe he will squeal. You've seen him be very, very flippant in these Twitter spaces and his DMs, in his desire to talk to the press. So maybe I think that's actually what pushed them over the edge, to be quite honest with you. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I personally believe. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Join us tomorrow morning for the Benny Show, the official Benny Show, not the kitchen version, where we will be diving more into this and the breaking news as it happens. Join us on Twitter Spaces. We'll be on a Twitter Spaces very, very soon with the great ALX, with Charlie Kirk, with Jack Posobiec, and a couple of other great patriots and individuals who will be hopping on to talk about deplatforming on Twitter. That'll be going live at 9 o'clock, so in just a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Bankman-Fraud in prison, in shackles right now. I guess that's something to toast, to raise your glass to. God bless you all. And careful where you put your money, man. All right. See ya.